I love this movie so much.
It's pretty amazing.
It is sweet and melancholy and funny and says so much about who we are and how we use technology and how we connect with other people, and I just thought it was lovely the whole way through.
I thought, based on the description that I had going in, I try very hard to know so little about these movies going in, but I knew it was Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with his operating system, right? And I thought this is going to be another incredibly quirky Joaquin Phoenix role, but this might be his most grounded person that he's played in some time. This is a totally identifiable guy that I think is pretty easy to relate to.
You know, this is something that you have to believe that he would fall in love not seeing Scarlett Johansson, like not having any idea what she looks like. I loved this movie. Yeah. This movie's amazing.
Here's the funny thing, when I went into the movie, I also try to avoid, knowing stuff. I didn't know that she was the voice. I thought it was Rashida Jones the whole time. I don't know why. I swear that's why I thought it was. I was like, oh, Scarlett Johansson. Well, so much the better then. This is an amazing. This is my favorite Spike Jonze movie, hands down. I think this is the movie where he likes to tackle big ideas, and I mean not big ideas, but sort of weird, challenging, like how do you tell this story kind of ideas.
This counts as a big idea, I think.
Right, but I'm saying, but if you look at something like Where the Wild Things Are or John Malkovich, he likes a challenge. He likes to sort of do something that's off kilter.
Like every time I thought I could predict what was going to happen next, and he'd throw something up, I'm like, okay, here's where the story's going to go now. She's going to become the needy girlfriend. She's going to become the stalker. She's going to get distracted by the college professor.
I'm not going to be ignored.
Like, she's going to get distracted by the older man that she's met. At no point does it go that way, and I loved that.
20 seconds or less, without, because I don't think I can ask this question without giving any spoiler. Some of the people who've seen it that I know sort of didn't like that ending. Did you have any problem with the ending?
I liked it.
Did it peter out at all? Did it deliver solid?
I think the ending was honest.
Yeah.
I think it may not be as satisfying as what people may have wanted, but I think it's honest based on the relationship that was happening.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was really poignant and really sweet, and handling that last shot is really lovely.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the rest of the movies, avoids cliches, and I think it's honest, and it gets the ending it earns. You know what? I was low with my initial number. I'm giving this a 10.
Wow.
This is my favorite movie of 2013.
Wow. It's number 3 on my list.
It's my top 25.
Yeah.
Sometimes well, not sometimes. Almost every time that I like sitting between you guys, slightly less with Matt, but I'm not.
Is there a compliment coming?
Where's this going?
What's the butt coming here?
I always feel so dumb. No, because you're like, it's a movie about the transformative power. I saw it. The transformative power of nature. I saw it this morning. And I'm like, wait a minute, did I watch the wrong movie?
the peach scene alone to tell you about the transformative power of nature.
I'll tell you, I have, on the occasions that I have taught film classes, I show I Am Love, because I think what Guadagnino does that almost no other director, certainly living, does, is, all movies are about sight and sound. He manages to drag in the other 3 senses. These are movies that you can feel and that you can smell and that you can taste. And there is that, literal sensuality going on here.
No, it's nice. It's a lovely way of...
Did you love this?
It's beautiful. It's everything, it is so... I've rarely felt that a movie takes its time more effectively. I mean, it really takes its time in every way, as long as it takes them to fall in love, when you sense early that they are, in the shots. I mean, in the way they ride a bike. And then he's like, all right. I mean, 97% of directors are like, all right, they're out of frame, we're going to, nope. Yeah. They're coming back in. They're going out of frame again. But again, it just feels like nice. Believe it or not, I watched some of this with my 4.5-year-old daughter. I just kept occasionally, I would be like, grown-up parts. But I was like, but it was nice. It was nice.
Her head, totally.
Yeah, right. It was nice. I'm like, no, she's like, what are they doing? I'm like, they love each other. What are you going to do?
They're kissing.
But it was so, because she kept saying, but where the bikers go? I'm like, they're there, just wait. Like, they'll be back in a second, yeah.
They're going to get some water from some random woman in the village.
I think the movie...
Elio is so wise beyond his years, and he's so intellectual and so worldly because his parents have encouraged that and fostered that within him, and so he's brilliant. He's a gangly kid, and he's kind of immature in some ways.
No, but he's super mature in other ways.
Yeah, but he's emotionally like clueless, which is great.
He is, which makes sense. But then part of the fun of this is that he and Oliver are like, the way they flirt is they one up each other about literature and poetry and classical music, and that's how they push and test each other, and they're one another's intellectual equals, and so that makes absolute sense that they would then connect on a much deeper level. My number's a 10, best movie of the year.
I'm not going to half measure it. It's a 10.
Yay!
I gave it a 9. I gave it a 9.4.
Okay, so Alonso just
we're still at a 9.8.
9.8 is our number. It's also at 98% on the.
It's really great. It's really, you can't. Who not liking this movie? I mean, you got to be. There's something wrong with you, or you're James Woods.
Yeah, I think someone complained that it was too slow, and it does. As Ben mentioned, it takes its time. Like it's a full hour before they have any contact. Go see some
movies if you think this is too slow. Jesus.
Anyway, please go find it and go.
The elevator pitch for this, which totally reduces it, is it's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner meets the Stepford Wives.
Totally.
And but it's more biting than the former, and it's like funnier than the latter. And the only thing I can really liken it to is those great Edgar Wright hybrids, where they start out as one kind of movie and very steadily and very assuredly become a whole nother movie right before your eyes, and you don't even realize that it's happened. And it's tough. It's an amazingly tough balance to pull off. And this is the first feature Jordan Peele has written and directed, so I don't know how he got this thing made. I don't know how he got a greenlit, because it's just daring as hell.
Yeah, but there's a lot that it gets away with structurally, because usually in a movie where something terrible is happening, but we don't know what it is, once the reveal happens, then it's over, because that's all the movie kind of had in its quiver. Nope. This movie, you find out what's going on, and then there's still more happening, and you're still engaged, and it's like the twist is just a thing.
Get to what the reveal is. It's worse than you think. And then, I don't want to say what it does at the end, but the way Peele plays the audience at the very end of the movie, he plays you like a violin. Like almost of the realm. It made me think of the scene in Psycho where Norman is pushing the car into the lake, and he suddenly sinking. Well, and it stops sinking. And now you've switched and you're worried about the killer, right? The guy who's committed this murder. It's a different type of thing, but Peele plays the audience in a way. He's playing with your expectations and your hopes.
And it's the kind of thing where like you can tell people are scared, and then they all sort of collectively kind of laugh because they realize what's happened and what they've just been put through. The movie is not sledgehammering you with any of this. It is first and foremost a genre movie. It's a horror comedy, but it has super smart things to say about race, and it's insanely relevant.
Yeah, and the writing is really sharp, but also visually he takes some chances and creates some images and some visual structural stuff that is very bold. That I will say. There's a really cool nod to being John Malkovich in here. I'm just gonna say, I sobbed the whole way through this movie. I have no shame. I'm fine with this. And then I walked home 2.87 miles from the screening room. I walked home after the movie to process. Did I sob the whole way through because it's great, or because I've got a little 5-year-old boy? And maybe it's both, but it is great. This movie is beautifully written, beautifully acted. The details, what they do to create this space, it feels lived in, it feels real, and every single moment's authentic. Brie Larson's amazing in it. They both go really, really deep to create these characters. Jacob Tremblay was 8, I want to say, when he did this. He's supposed to be 5. But God, I was mesmerized. Yeah, I was mesmerized.
He looks
but
5.
He's not precocious. There's no like cutesy Disney Channel like Kid Factory stuff going on with him.
No, he has some meltdowns too.
Yeah, it all feels true. And
this is that rare movie that there are no missteps. Everything works in here really, really well, and it hits the emotion of it. I was fascinated by the psychology of, when Jack is bold and when he hides and when he doesn't want to talk and the way he reacts. It's all, for those of us that have kids, like that's somebody wrote this who's got kids and knows how kids really, not the way you see in a lot of movies where, kids act out, it's overplayed and precocious. this is a really kind of natural feeling story.
Yeah,
you know, kids hide out and they, you know, when they don't want to talk to someone, they hide behind mom. And you know, they get moody and they get angry at their parents, and
they apologize for things that they shouldn't be because of stress in the room.
Right.
You know, when it's not their fault. You know.
Right.
This movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And it could have kept going. It could have kept going because you feel so immersed with these people. It's almost like a documentary. The realism of it and being able to watch him age, and the cumulative effect is so powerful. You don't realize it until the end, until he goes off to college. And it's just like, wow, you've grown up with him too.
Yeah, exactly. When his mom, Patricia Arquette, is sort of upset about him leaving the house, you kind of feel that too, because like you feel like you've been there for this life, you know.
Oh, go ahead, what were you gonna say?
No, Linklater is, I mean, I think one of our great American filmmakers of this generation, and so humane in terms of understanding people's foibles but not judging them for them, you know. And there are these great little moments where Mason, who's the main character, gets these pieces of advice from places you wouldn't expect, like a teacher or like his manager at the fish restaurant or whatever. And it's actually the kind of stuff that sort of makes you go, oh yeah, it's people when you're young telling you, hey, don't be a dick, you know, or like think about this or apply yourself to that make a difference. And there's a lovely scene later on with Ethan Hawke's new in-laws, who are older people and they live out in the country in Texas. And for the kid's birthday, they give him like a gun and a Bible, and an engraved Bible. An engraved Bible. And so many directors would be so snarky about that. And the scene,
tricky feat that he pulls off, right? Like with those Before movies,
makes it sound spontaneous.
That big fight, that big 30-minute fight at the end of Before Midnight, feels like you're watching people in the moment tearing each other apart. And that's what's so cool about this, is that you feel like natural, loose conversations are just happening with their pauses and their imperfections, but it's really tightly scripted. But that's
what I mean. You know, I think that if it weren't tightly scripted, it wouldn't have felt authentic, because it wouldn't have been, because they'd have been on camera. Like, it's an art. Like, I mean, I'm being obvious, I suppose, but
it's an interesting. You don't get a lot of gay movies that include boyhood. And so the whole first part of the movie, it's that thing where the world knows you're gay, but you haven't quite figured it out yet, but they're already like mocking you for it and bullying you about it. And then you get to the middle period where it's like, I always say, you know, teenage boys have more ways to call you a faggot than Inuits can say snow, you know. So that's, you know, having to deal with the high school stuff. And then the adult section where you sort of get the long lasting effects of his sort of lifelong kind of search for love and acceptance and understanding. And not even in a like, love me world, I'm gay, but just like human connection.
Right.
He's so closed off.
Yeah, it's immensely powerful, this movie, and so beautifully shot. I mean,
it's shot in this rich, warm, you know, you feel this, like you really do feel the warmth of Miami there. And yet there's this isolation and almost despair to it, that you really are following Little and his story, or Chiron and his story, and how he's all by himself, and you know, every once in a while somebody comes along that he connects to, and there's that desperate, like, oh, you know, you see him start to maybe open up to someone that may actually accept him as a person, and then he loses that, and you know, repeatedly, and it's devastating. This is the last film that I saw when I was at Toronto. I had another film to go see after it, and I ended up not seeing anything because I wanted to end on a perfect note. I think this is a perfect film.
I agree. Ben?
I hated it. No, of course I didn't. That's impossible to hate. You know, I think, I'm not an actor, obviously.
We know.
Yeah.
That's all White House Down.
Was it White House Down? I can't remember. They're all the same. Go ahead.
They're all the same? What are you talking about?
White House Down was way more fun.
Right. Totally.
You said you're not an actor.
It's literally, you laugh. The movie ended when I saw it, and you like can't quite leave the theater.
I was sobbing. I had tears running down my face, and it sneaks up on you.
Yeah,
it really does.
Because it's a quiet film, it's an intimate film, and then all of a sudden, like, bam! I found myself crying. I'm going, "What the hell just happened to me?"
But with an incredibly quiet finish.
Yeah,
I mean, it also
that last scene in the kitchen is amazing.
You know, I could go straight from this to Jack Reacher. Just FYI, while y'all got to soak in. It's wonderful.
And the thing is, like, there's some